Copper is everywhere. It flows through the wires inside our homes, powers our smartphones, travels through our cars, and even helps connect entire cities to electricity. Yet few people stop to think about where this remarkable metal comes from. Hidden deep beneath mountains and deserts, copper mines have shaped economies, created fortunes, and transformed nations. In many ways, copper helped build modern America. Long before skyscrapers, highways, and the internet, there was copper. For thousands of years, humans have relied on this reddish metal to make tools, weapons, and decorations. But in the United States, the story of copper is much bigger than simple craftsmanship. It is a story of ambition, innovation, and the relentless quest to extract wealth from the earth. Today, we are going deep into the history of America's copper mines and discovering how a single metal changed the nation forever. The history of copper mining in North America began long before the arrival of Europeans. Thousands of years ago, indigenous peoples around the Great Lakes discovered large deposits of nearly pure copper. Unlike gold or silver, copper could be shaped into tools and weapons with relatively simple techniques. Archaeologists have found ancient copper axes, knives, fishhooks, and ornaments dating back thousands of years. The region around present-day Michigan contains some of the world's richest copper deposits. Native communities extracted the metal using stone hammers and primitive mining methods, creating one of the earliest mining industries on the continent. For centuries, these deposits remained largely untouched by outsiders. But everything changed in the 19th century. In the mid-1800s, America was expanding westward at an incredible pace. Railroads stretched across the continent, factories multiplied, and cities grew larger every year. This rapid industrialization created an enormous demand for metals, especially copper. At first, copper was mainly used for coins and household items. But the invention of electricity transformed everything. Suddenly, copper became one of the most valuable resources in the world. Copper is an excellent conductor of electricity. As telegraph lines spread across the country and electric lights illuminated cities, demand exploded. Investors and prospectors rushed to find new copper deposits, hoping to strike it rich. This search led to some of the largest mining booms in American history. One of the most famous copper regions was Michigan's Upper Peninsula. In 1845, miners discovered vast deposits beneath the rocky landscape. News spread rapidly, triggering a copper rush that attracted thousands of workers. Mining towns sprang up almost overnight. Life in these mining towns was harsh. Miners descended hundreds of meters underground every day, working in darkness, heat, and dangerous conditions. Explosions, cave-ins, and accidents were common. Despite the risks, the promise of steady wages attracted immigrants from around the world. People from Finland, Italy, Ireland, and many other countries traveled to Michigan, hoping for a better future. The copper mines transformed the region, turning isolated wilderness into bustling industrial communities. By the late 19th century, another copper giant emerged in the American West. Deep in the mountains of Montana lay the city of Butte, a place that would eventually become known as the richest hill on Earth. Beneath the hills surrounding the city were enormous deposits of copper, silver, and gold. Initially, miners searched for silver and gold. But when electricity began spreading across America, copper quickly became far more valuable. Mining companies raced to expand operations. Massive shafts plunged deep into the earth, some extending more than a kilometer underground. Thousands of miners worked around the clock, extracting millions of tons of ore. The wealth generated by Butte was staggering. Entire fortunes were built on copper. Powerful industrialists fought bitter battles for control of the mines, creating some of the most famous business rivalries in American history. At its peak, Butte supplied a huge portion of the world's copper and helped electrify cities across the globe. Copper did more than enrich mining companies. It changed the entire American economy. Without copper, the electrical revolution would have been impossible. The telegraph, telephone, electric lights, radios, and eventually computers all depended on vast quantities of copper wiring. As factories expanded, demand continued to rise. Copper became essential for motors, generators, and industrial machinery. Every new technological breakthrough increased the need for the metal. The rise of the automobile industry created another surge in demand. Cars required copper for electrical systems, batteries, and engines. Later, airplanes, televisions, and household appliances added even more pressure on the mining industry. Copper was no longer just a metal. It had become the backbone of modern civilization. However, mining came at a tremendous cost. Working conditions in early copper mines were brutal. Miners spent long hours underground, often breathing dangerous dust and working in extreme heat. Safety regulations were weak or non-existent. Accidents happened frequently. Cave-ins trapped workers beneath tons of rock. Explosions caused devastating losses of life. Families lived with constant uncertainty, knowing that every shift underground could be someone's last. Labor disputes became common as miners demanded higher wages and safer conditions. Strikes sometimes turned violent, pitting workers against mining companies. One of the most famous conflicts occurred in Michigan during the Copper Country Strike of 1913. Thousands of miners walked off the job, demanding better treatment and improved safety standards. The strike lasted for months and deeply divided local communities. It revealed the human cost behind America's industrial success. Mining also left a lasting mark on the environment. Extracting copper requires removing enormous amounts of rock. Mountains were blasted apart, forests cleared, and rivers polluted by mining waste. Open-pit mines became especially controversial. Unlike traditional underground mines, open-pit operations remove entire sections of the landscape to reach the or below. One of the largest examples is the Bingham Canyon mine in Utah. Visible from space, this gigantic pit stretches several kilometers across and reaches incredible depths. The scale of modern mining is almost impossible to imagine. Massive trucks carrying hundreds of tons of material travel through the mine every day. Giant machines dig deeper into the earth in search of valuable ore. While mining generates economic growth, it also raises difficult questions about environmental responsibility and sustainability. As technology advanced, copper mining became increasingly sophisticated. In the early days, miners relied on picks, shovels, and explosives. Today, modern mines use satellites, computers, and autonomous vehicles. Geologists use advanced imaging techniques to locate deposits hidden deep underground. Enormous drills collect samples from hundreds of meters below the surface. Once the ore is extracted, complex chemical processes separate copper from surrounding rock. Huge processing plants crush, grind, and refine the material until pure copper emerges. Automation has transformed the industry. Some mines now use self-driving trucks and remote-controlled equipment, reducing the need for workers in dangerous environments. Yet despite all these technological advances, the basic challenge remains the same: extracting valuable metal from the earth. In the 21st century, copper has become more important than ever. The global transition to renewable energy depends heavily on copper. Wind turbines, solar panels, electric vehicles, and battery systems all require enormous amounts of the metal. An electric car uses several times more copper than a traditional gasoline-powered vehicle. Charging stations, power grids, and renewable energy infrastructure require millions of kilometers of copper wiring. Experts predict that demand for copper will continue to rise in the coming decades. This has sparked renewed interest in old mining regions and encouraged exploration in new areas. Some analysts even call copper the metal of the future. Ironically, the technologies designed to create a cleaner world depend on one of humanity's oldest industries. America remains one of the world's major copper producers. States such as Arizona, Utah, New Mexico, Montana, and Nevada continue to supply millions of tons of copper each year. Arizona alone produces the majority of the country's copper. Vast open-pit mines dominate the desert landscape, employing thousands of workers and contributing billions of dollars to the economy. Communities built around mining still depend on the industry for jobs and economic stability. For many families, copper mining is not just a profession, it's a tradition passed down from generation to generation. Yet the future remains uncertain. Environmental concerns, changing technology, and global competition continue to reshape the industry. Mining companies face increasing pressure to reduce pollution and operate more sustainably. Governments and communities must balance economic growth with environmental protection. The decisions made today will determine the future of copper mining for generations to come. The story of copper mines is ultimately the story of human progress. From ancient indigenous miners shaping tools by hand to modern engineers operating massive machines, copper has accompanied humanity every step of the way. It powered the telegraph, illuminated cities, fueled industrial growth, and now stands at the center of the renewable energy revolution. Beneath the deserts of Arizona and the mountains of Montana lies the metal that helped build America. Hidden in the darkness underground is a resource that transformed society and connected the modern world. The next time you switch on a light, charge your phone, or drive a car, remember that somewhere, deep beneath the earth, miners once labored to extract the copper that makes those moments possible. Copper may not shine like gold or inspire legends like silver, but without it, the modern world simply could not exist. And that is the extraordinary story of America's copper mines.